everybody, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. This is Kana, you're in my corner, and I'm sitting here with a very special guest. Would you like to say hi to everybody?
I would. This is Woren, and I'd love to say hi, so I'm going to do it. Hi.
And now I want to start off talking about what are you doing now? Do you have any projects that just came out or something that, you're working on that you can talk about and want to tell the listeners about?
Well, the Bleach thing is still going on. As some of you who are listening may know, I play one of the lead characters on the anime series Bleach, who kind of drifts in and out periodically, and it's funny because it is the brother of Rukia, Mr. Kuchiki himself, but he tends to disappear for periods of time, and I just recorded a couple more sessions recently, so I guess he's coming back for a little bit. I never know. He kind of hibernates, it seems. But Byakuya Kuchiki, right? I don't know. They love him in Japan, and apparently they love him in the United States, but he doesn't say a lot. He doesn't talk a whole lot. There's more action, I guess.
Well, do you get called in for any of the franchise stuff, such as, the movies or the video games or anything like that?
Yeah, I've worked on one of the movies. I've worked on a video game as well, absolutely.
And do you find that more appealing to do sort of all the, I know there's fighting in both, but do you find the video games more appealing versus the animation, or do you have a preference?
I don't necessarily have a preference. They're both a lot of fun. I mean, it's always great fun, especially the battle sequences, the fight sequences, because, they're pitting a lot of the times to, really good opponents as far as the way they're written. So the battles are in, and the animation is superb, so it's very cool to watch that. I really don't have a preference one way or the other. I just enjoy working on them, so I'm pretty easy to satisfy in that regard.
And now you've been dubbing for quite a while. Do you think that at this point you're sort of an ace, or do you still have a little trouble with lip flaps ever?
No, I'm pretty much, I don't know about ace, but I mean, the thing that any of us that have been doing this for a long time have as an advantage is that back, 15, 20 or more years ago, there weren't any beep tones. Normally in dubbing now, you have 3 beeps that you hear audibly, beep, 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 and in your headphones you'll hear that, and then you speak at the imaginary 4th beep. Well, when we started doing this, basically there were no beeps, so you had to just watch the screen and watch the time code that was also on the little the monitor that you were looking at, and just gauge it that way, so that you had no intro or warning that you were about to start. You had to just really visualize it and see it. So because of that, it forced us to become pretty adept at doing that, and so the beeps are just a bonus now. So anybody that's been doing this for any period of time has that advantage, I think. And so, ace, I don't know, but pretty good at it, absolutely.
Would you say that the technology has definitely improved from, 10 years ago to say now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with all the computer stuff that they're able to do now, the different programs and the ease they have of moving things backwards or forwards, as far as if you say something and it's not quite in sync, they can take it back a couple frames and plug it in, and it's easy and it fits. There's a lot more engineering that can fix things now, as opposed to actors just having to be, dead on as far as being able to see the sync. You have a lot more technical and engineering advances that have made it, with Pro Tools, that have made it quite easy for them to edit and move things forward fairly rapidly as far as the recording sessions go.
Now I'm curious, when you're in the booth, is there anything that you see as the most important factor to help you do your job? I mean, there's the team, the technology, the mic, everything. Is there something like that stands out to you that's the most important?
Well, I think no matter what the technology around it is, you have to believe the character. You as the audience and listening to it or seeing it have to form some kind of a connection to the character based on the performance of the actor or actress. Otherwise, you don't really care. And so I think it always comes down to being most true to the character and bringing it to life as best you can. I think that's the biggest focus. Whatever little quirks or traits or whatever that you bring to that particular character, and that are given to it by the nature of how it was drawn in the first place. And the original, if we're talking about anime, the original Japanese stuff, you work with that. But again, you have to, within your voice and the performance that you do, you have to create a character ideally that people can relate to, either hate or love, and hate if they're a villain and love if they're not, or both. So it's that to me is the most important thing, is just to bring a believability and an interesting character to the best of your ability each time you go in the booth.
That's actually really neat, and I'm a little curious, when you go in and you're bringing a character to life, does sort of the Japanese culture, did it ever trick you up, the sort of little, traditions that aren't in the Western market?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I suppose there's some things that, if you don't understand, ideally it's the director's job to know, background or give you any information that you don't have when you walk in for the first time, or even after a number of times, regarding the episode and regarding the situation with the character. So I don't know. I haven't really been, hung up by anything to that in that case that I can remember necessarily. But there's sometimes there's characters that hesitate in their speech or they have their own little quirky things, and I don't know if they're necessarily specific to whoever's creating the character, in this case the Japanese anime, whether that's specific to the Japanese culture. But if there are those things, you try to make them as believable as you can within speaking in English, so that
I just had.
Go ahead.
Oh, I apologize. I just had to wonder, since, you did mention Bleach, and Bleach is, an anime that has so many Japanese words and culture and martial arts fighting styles and all that fun stuff.
Well, it's fun. I mean, it's fun for me. I love, the opportunity to pronounce words in another language, and I have an advantage in that I've been a Buddhist for over 25 years, and so there's a lot of Japanese in my Buddhist practice. There's a lot of words and phrases and things that are in Japanese, so I have that advantage that when I come up to, words generally in Japanese, I can pronounce them pretty well and usually pretty quickly and with a reasonable accent. So I've been complimented by a number of Japanese producers and people regarding that, which is great. I'm proud of that, and it's a benefit to me that I'm able to do that.
Well, that definitely gives you the edge, and you can kind of, I guess, showcase that when you go in for auditions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anytime that's required, I feel very confident that I can deliver as good or better than most people coming in to do it. So a little bit of ego there, but still, I'm comfortable with that, and I'm delighted to see it.
And now, it sort of seems to me that a lot of voice actors have sort of moved to the home studio auditions. Are you into that right now, or are you still taking the long drives to the studios?
I'm still, they're not so long necessarily. Sometimes they are. I haven't put a studio together yet, but it's in the process, because I've been very fortunate that one of my neighbors, has started building microphones, and he's a studio musician for like 40 years, and the guy's just a phenomenal engineer and musician, and so he started building microphones. His name is Dave Perlman, and his microphones are phenomenal. They're being used all over the world now. PerlmanMicrophones.com for anybody that's interested in finding out the quality, but they're all hand built, and he has a number of different mics that he makes now. So I'll be getting one of his microphones in the relative short future, I would say, to start doing this out of my own, building my own little studio here. So I'm looking forward to that, because it will be, an obviously advantage to not driving to some things, most definitely.
That'll actually be really interesting. You can just, you don't even have to get in the car. You can just be in your pajamas drinking coffee.
Exactly. You don't have to dress up. It's a good thing. But yeah, it gives you a lot of advantage as far as if an audition comes up quickly and you might not have time to get to the audition itself. You can just bang it out and send it off quickly, and that's great. And it does happen, most definitely. I can get a call while we're talking right now about an audition later today. That definitely transpires. Things come up, rapidly. So it is to one's advantage to, if you have the ability to build your own little studio, to put a little room together to record out of, it can definitely be advantageous.
That actually sounds really interesting, and for everybody out there, we're going to take a very short break, so keep it tuned to your favorite station, which would be 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
All you have to do is answer the phone.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Is this 918 The Fan?
No, this is Patrick.
Are you sure this isn't 918 The Fan?
No, this is Patrick.
Look, I'm pretty sure this is 918 The Fan.
No, this is Patrick.
Patrick, that's the name of the restaurant.
Huh?
Hey everybody, welcome back to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want, nothing you don't. I still have Dan here. I have not scared him off, and his phone hasn't dropped the call, so we're all good.
Yep, we're all together here now.
And now I'm curious, are there any other upcoming projects that you can talk about or you recently finished?
Yeah, actually, I started also doing audiobooks, books on tape, but they're not really on tape any longer. That's the old name, I suppose. But I started recording audiobooks, so I have a couple that should be released very shortly. One of them is a detective. Well, what would you call it? A legal. The lead character is a lawyer, but it's a government espionage, people getting killed. Kind of a pretty cool novel by a guy named Steve Martini. It's called Rule of Nine. And that should be released very shortly. And then another book that I just finished is a book called The Invisible Gorilla. And there's a few other, there's a little more to the title, but the main title is The Invisible Gorilla, and it's nonfiction relating to illusions that we go through, on a daily basis as human beings in our day-to-day living. The main title is based on an experiment that was done back in the 90s, like 1994, I believe, where the idea being that people don't see things if they don't expect to see them, even if they're right in their face. And so the Invisible Gorilla, they did a video where they videotaped part of a basketball game, and they told people there's a team in white and a team in black, and they told people, watch this video for 15 seconds or however long it is, and count how many passes the white team makes. And then, don't count the passes the black team makes, count the white team. And so you do that, and then at the end, they ask you a couple more questions after you finish that, and one of the questions is, did you see the gorilla? And because in the middle of the whole thing, it's long, it's maybe 30, 35 seconds, and in the middle of that, somebody comes out in the middle of the court in a full gorilla costume and dances around for about 15 seconds, and half the people that are watching this video are so intent on counting passes they never even see the gorilla. And it's a big ass, pardon my French, but it's a big gorilla. It's a very large person, in a gorilla suit. And so it brings to light the fact that if we don't expect to see something, many times we will not even see it. And it's a pretty interesting experiment, and there's a bunch of other stuff in there regarding that, regarding the illusions that we go through, day to day, based on things we think are correct, but they are proven not to really be correct. So it's a pretty fascinating book.
That is pretty interesting, and it must be sort of fun for you because you get to be paid to basically read.
It's great. I love it because depending on what you're reading, you learn things. You get to read some great fiction. It's quite fascinating, and it's a whole other set of skills, I guess, because you're telling a story and trying to make it interesting. And depending on whether it's fiction or nonfiction, you're doing character voices. You're capturing each character within it, whether it's male or female, young, old, whatever. It's your job to make that believable, or that the audience that's listening to it can relate to what you're saying and believe it and move on. So it's quite a challenge in that right, and it's quite a bit of fun. I enjoy it a lot.
No, I think that's actually really neat, and I want to see if I can find it somewhere because that sounds like a very interesting premises to a book.
Absolutely. Well, if you go to the website audible.com, A-U-D-I, excuse me, there, I'm choked up here, doggone it, A-U-D-I-B-L-E, audible.com.
And then all of our listeners can find it that way?
Yeah, you can go there, and there's a search page, I believe, and you can either just search that title, The Invisible Gorilla, or you can search by narrator. Excuse me. If you put my name in under narrator and hit search, you can then listen to samples of about 9 or 10 different books that I've done. They have audio samples, as well as being able to order the books if you want, or you can order through, Amazon or whatever. They're available that way. But Audible gives you an opportunity to listen to samples, and it's something I very much enjoy and hope to be doing a lot more of in the future, just because it's a lot of fun.
Now, if you ever do any more, work with audiobooks or anything else pertaining to anime or live action or whatever it is there a place where fans can keep updated? Like, do you do the social media thing or not yet?
Go ahead. Finish up anything I interrupted you. So do I do the social media? And then you started to say something else and I interrupted you.
Oh, I was wondering is there a way for listeners to keep track, basically, of what your upcoming projects are? Do you have a Facebook or a Twitter?
I've been pretty bad about that so far, as in no. The answer being no. And it's something that I will eventually do, I'm sure. I've just been, the simplest explanation I can have to not doing it is so far I haven't felt like having more obligation to put things out there and see, who's responding and everything else. So it's just been kind of a combination of not feeling like it and I don't know, hesitancy to dive in, but I'm sure I will. It's bound to happen.
Oh, that's understandable.
But no, it's a whole new world in that regard. It's an opportunity that needs to be taken advantage of if you are a performer, I think. And so, just from the standpoint of utilizing all the opportunities available, I'm sure I will do this in the near future. In the meantime, there's a listing of stuff that I've done on IMDb, of course, the Independent Movie Database that lists a lot of the things. And there's actually, before I forget, there's another project that we're just starting on recording. There's a producer by the name of Ken Mora, M-O-R-A, and Ken has written a number of scripts that are spoofs on crime dramas like Dirty Harry stuff and any number of different James Bond. There's a James Bond spoof and a lot of different spoofs, but they're CGI and they're more of an adult R-rated type stuff, late night kind of a thing. And so we're in the process. He's recorded basically a short version of one of his films called Magnum Farce, and we're going to be recording the feature tracks for the feature film. We're going to start recording those. Hopefully, be done by August with those, and then start putting all the animation together on that. But anybody can find out all the updates on what's going on with that, and there's a lot of people in the industry, my peers that'll be working on these projects as well. So that's quite a bit of fun. But that's at MagnumFarceMovie.com.
Awesome.
MagnumFarce.
And now I'm curious, for conventions, do you have anything planned this year in 2010?
Yeah, I'll be going out to NecaCon in July. That's the 16th to the 18th, I believe, in Louisiana.
I see. I don't know too much about that one myself. I know that our listeners will definitely want to see you. Are there any other ones?
That's the only one I have booked so far that I know about. But that'll be for any of the listeners that are big fans of Robotech, which is the first series that kind of came into prominence back in the mid-'80s. There'll be kind of a reuniting of 3 or 4 of us that were part of that series. So because this is the 25-year anniversary of Robotech. So that will also be one of the producer and creator of Robotech, Carl Masick, was a wonderful man. He passed away recently in April, of a heart attack. It was a big surprise to everyone because he was in his 50s. So it'll be also a memorial for Carl as well at the convention. But it should be a really wonderful convention. And hopefully they won't have to deal too much with they'll have the cleanup done to some degree down in the Gulf with all the oil, but this will be in New Orleans. But I'm very much looking forward to that. I've never been to New Orleans, so I'm looking forward to it on a number of different levels.
Well, I know that he did quite a bit for the anime industry, and I know that he will definitely be missed because there have been many guests who have said what a wonderful man he is, and I feel terrible that I was not able to meet him or talk with him.
Well, he was a good guy, and he was sincere, and he had a definite vision about global tech and about the industry itself, and he was very good at getting things done, and he was a lot of fun to work with. So, we lost somebody important and somebody special. So, hopefully we'll do a nice little celebration of his life there as well. So.
And I'm wondering, is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there?
Well, I'd like to tell the listeners out there. Oh, yeah, there's one other website I'd like to refer them to if they're interested. There's a website called actorsreporter.com, and it's based in Los Angeles, and it's just like it sounds, actorsreporter.com. And it is a website dedicated to the actor and to the industry in Los Angeles here and in general, but there's a number of different columns or guest hosts. I'm one of the hosts. I host a column entitled Career Cues, which is help for people, basically acting tips that are given by, actually written by a guy named Elias Steinach, and I kind of interpret what he has to say and just bring my own little twist to it, if you will. But there's information about, career-wise, about classes, about what's going on in town, resources for actors, discounts on different things they might want to purchase or get involved with, a bunch of different columns. There's a podcast, a daily podcast, Monday through Friday, and just numerous other podcasts on quite a few different topics, and coverage of different events that are coming up and going on currently in the Hollywood area and the Los Angeles area. So it's a very cool website, and that's something I'm very proud of, and I'm delighted to be a part of. And anybody looking for news or interviews or commentary or information about acting in Los Angeles and what's going on in the city itself, it's a great resource. Again, that's actorsreporter.com. So,
Well, I think a lot of our fans will be interested in that, since I know a lot of people listening are want to be voice actors one day.
mm-hmm. So there's quite a bit of interesting stuff. There's stuff regarding voice as well as stuff, a lot of stuff regarding on camera. There was actually just recently an interview with Kathy Kalmanson, who was one of the top voice casters, voiceover casting directors in this town. Just giving information about voiceover talent and what they look for and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very cool site.
It sounds like it, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to, before we let you go, participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
You might want to tell me what it is before I say yes.
Yes, I'll tell you what it is. We ask everybody who comes on, and we put you guys on the spot, I'll admit it. We ask everybody who comes on if they'd be willing to say a line for us.
And do you have the line?
Yes, it's basically, my name is, I do this, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Mm-hmm. I do this. I do voice acting.
Yes, that'll work. You're filling in the blanks.
Yes. And you're tuned to 98.1 or 91.8, not 91.1 on my.
Yeah, it's 91.8 The Fan.
Right. Okay. I think I could probably handle that.
Okay, well, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hello. My name is Dan Woren, and I'm fortunate enough to be a voice actor as well as an on-camera actor in this lovely town here in Los Angeles. And you are currently listening to 91.8 The Fan.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And thank you also for joining the show today. We really appreciate it, and hopefully you can come on in the future.
I look forward to it. I appreciate that.
And for all the listeners out there who might have missed this interview, shame on you if you're just tuning in, but we'll post it up on the site, Toot Sweet. So stay tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want, nothing you don't.